Welcome to Checks and Balances. I'm Michael Vincent. This is James Blair. And this week, the top 5 mistakes that we see our customers make.
Okay, there's lots of different ways we can learn. We can set this bad boy up as a classroom and kind of go finance 101 and spit off some theory. Sometimes on a Saturday night, I'll see Mike in like a turtleneck and a little jacket and the glasses on. You look like a teacher.
I've never worn a turtleneck.
Mate, you can pull off any look.
I look good in anything, but I've never worn a turtleneck.
Yeah, and if you don't think he looks good, just ask him himself. So we can do kind of like spitting off theory and talking about different concepts. The other really good way to learn is from other people's stuff ups. And we have changed lots of the parts of these stories to protect these clients, but it's really important that we learn from other people's stories, not just their wins, but also their fails, so we can go, right, what can we do better? So we have 5 most common mistakes that we see from our clients. Mikey V, where are we starting?
Yeah, cool. So number 1, timing the market. But James, I'm just going to wait 6 more months. At the very bottom, the house price will come back another $1,000, James. I know it's down 20%. I just want another $1,000 off before I buy.
Yeah. You know, I've seen a clip going around social media of in Canberra in Australia, house prices getting kind of 1960s house pieces of land getting sold. And they were like $2,000 lots.
Excuse me, you've just come out of the auction room. Did you buy a block of land?
Nope.
No. Why not?
Too expensive.
How much did you want to bid?
Oh, about 1,600, something like that.
And what were the prices of blocks this morning?
The last 15 or so blocks have started at 2,000 and gone up to anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000.
So what will you do now?
Well, we have to wait and hope for the best at the next one. I don't know whether there's a complete shortage of land or what the position is, but the restricted auction was just the same.
I mean, it's ridiculous to sort of pay such a lot of money for a block of land when you don't really own it anyway. I mean, you still pay $100 a year to rent the damn thing.
It's just ridiculous these days. $2,000 for a piece of land. And if you go to me...
It is Canberra, though. Let's be honest.
It's cold. It's cold.
It's probably worth $2,500 now.
Yeah. No hate to Canberra.
No, some hate to Canberra.
Yeah. I mean, the Raiders were great in the 80s, right, with Mal Meninga. Yeah. But if you look at that concept and the way people think about money and go, wow, it's never going to happen again, right? Over the next 60 years, house prices aren't going to double. Yeah. Like not double, but increase that much again. The reality is the gap between the rich and the poor is just going to increase and increase over time, and compounding returns, inflation is going to continue to do what it will do. So, Mike, you got any good stories around timing the market? I mean, it must be every single property person you talk with.
Yeah, look, it's not every single property person, and to be honest, Tony Alexander the other day was talking about 15,000 first home buyers who are waiting on the sidelines, ready to jump into the market at the bottom. I just don't think that's true. I don't think that's how first home buyers work. But generally speaking, you will hear a lot of customers think, look, you know what? I don't want to overpay for this house, and I'm going to wait another 4 months, just another month until it drops a little bit more. And like I sort of said, the market's back 20% in Auckland. It's back more than that in Wellington. Christchurch not back so much, but still down a bit. Everything is on sale. If you're gonna buy, just jump in now. And you and I both know this because we have changed the advice that we were giving compared to the top of the market when everyone was coming to us. Give me another investment property. Give me another new build. Give me another townhouse. And we're like, you really need to think about, do you want this for the right reasons, or do you just want to buy another house? And now that it's back 20%, everyone is sitting on their hands like, oh, look, I'm not sure if now's the right time to buy. It just, the psychology of it is fascinating.
Yep. And for those who have seen the webinar we did a couple of weeks ago with my side piece host, Luke Kemi from Keep the Change.
Welcome to Checks and Keep the Change. I'm Luke Kemi. This is James Blair.
Yeah. You are not dealing with this well, but we will get therapy and we will get through it. We do a prezzo where a bit in there where we talk about Larry Linger. And Larry Linger is essentially the bloke who saves cash. And in the example we give, you have to save 3 times as much money opposed to getting on with the show. I mean, I wouldn't call out any specific occupation, but if I were to, engineers, you put together 500 spreadsheets with analysis, but will not pull the trigger. And when we're doing, and this isn't now shade on engineers anymore, because we've got a lot of engineering clients, and hopefully they're still our clients after this. When we do annual reviews with our clients, and I look at the recommendations of you should buy this investment property for X amount, and it was that, and now it's a much bigger amount, and you kind of go, oh, that was a really big mistake by you, wasn't it? And they go, yeah.
Yeah, look, and everyone has different reasons for not, or trying to time the market, and basically people that just don't want to overpay for things, and I get it. However, it's a fool's game.
Yeah. Okay, learning number 2, being too conservative. Very interesting one. We're going to talk a little bit about opportunity cost here. So a lot of people, and this is a really wide topic that we could probably do a whole podcast on in and of itself, but being too conservative is going, look, if you leave your money in cash, you leave your money in term deposit, you stay in that safe job, you don't start that business, there is opportunity cost with every single thing you do in life. The only guaranteed asset to go backwards over the long term is cash, because inflation is eroding your purchasing power.
Yeah. And you see a really clear example of this in people's KiwiSaver, where people set up their KiwiSaver and they may not have a lot of information or knowledge around what they're doing when they set it up, quite young. And they'll go, I'll put, 50 in a growth fund and 50% in a conservative fund. You're not going to touch that money for 40 odd years, right? There is no real reason for it to be in a conservative fund. And those people are being generally too conservative.
Yep. And sometimes I hear kind of wacky ideas like the US economy is going to be brought down to its knees and we don't want overseas investments. I'm sorry, but if you're worried the US economy is going to cripple itself and then you're not going to invest anywhere, guess how many US companies are giving out jobs in New Zealand? So there's going to be a hell of a lot less jobs. There's going to be a hell of a lot less houses. It's just going to be a miserable old time for everybody. So you might as well get your money to work.
Yeah.
Quick story on the too conservative bit. I've got a client who's also a very close friend who just overanalyzes and overthinks and thinks the worst in a lot of cases, and has got a good income and is a very good saver. So he's putting lots of cash aside, but is now has in the ballpark of probably like 300 grand in term deposits and 2 debt-free properties, and is going to me like, James, I've got this cash. What should I do? And I go, look, Bob, what's the point in me telling you what to do? You're going to overanalyze it and not take any action. But the reality is he should be leveraging up. He should be buying properties. He should be contributing money to managed fund, keeping cash for an emergency fund, and getting on with the show. But I would estimate his conservative nature has cost him at least $1 million.
Yeah, 100%. So the next thing we're going to touch on, and James sees this probably a bit more than I do, is helping family and helping family in the wrong way. I'm not talking about just lending money to family, because if you're lending money to family, first of all, expect to never see that money again. And then second, expect to not really like that person after you don't get the money back.
Speaking of which, am I getting my loan back soon? Or
Ravi, mate, you cut that bit.
So when we're thinking about, the reason I bring up the family piece is it's an emotional decision opposed to a financial decision on what's the best thing for you in life. So I talk to lots of people, and a very common goal is I want to help my kids get ahead in life. And I go, cool, what are we thinking? Because as you'll know on the first home buyer side, the term helping family can be a very broad term. So I'll have people who will go, well, I want to give them $200,000 to, help them buy their first home. And I will go, if you do that, you will have to retire 5 years later.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm going to do it anyway. So that is a really good example of putting your family before yourself. The other one that happens as well, which I hate, is when we buy investment properties for kids to live in.
Yeah.
If you just want to give them some freaking board or give them some money, just do it. But you look at the property, instead of looking at the numbers, go, oh, will little Johnny like living here? And it's like, it's an investment. It's not you. And the people that I'm talking to in that situation, you're not in the position to just give your kids a house. That's not what's happening here.
Yeah, no. And I think with the, we're not saying don't help the family out, like if that's one of your goals, that's what you want to do, 100% go ahead and do it. But you've got to think about yourself. You've got to think, how is it going to impact me in the long term? And actually, what does this mean for my financial future?
Yeah. And a financial plan is really all about, here's my current situation. Here are my goals for the future. But then if you do these things, you either have to give up more here or you're going to have less to spend here, right? Like it's not that complicated. It's not rocket science, and you need to understand the implications of your decisions.
Yeah.
Next one, not diversifying enough. So, I mean, look at the sign behind us. That might be a bit of a clue. You got any stories in this area, Mike?
Oh yeah, like I mean, for me on the property side, and we see this quite a bit when people have a bunch of properties, they're moving into retirement, and we give them advice that you should probably sell some properties and shift it into a managed fund. And they say, I don't know, like properties worked really well for me. And like it has, but all of your eggs are in one basket.
Yep.
They are all exposed to the same risk, whether that is interest rate risk, macroeconomic risk, government policy changes around property. There is no real diversification in property in New Zealand.
Oh, I've got one in Timaru and one in Ashburn.
I've never been to either of those places.
Does not surprise me. So we did an episode a couple of months ago talking about when property is the wrong solution. And that podcast episode, go check it out if you haven't seen it. But it's pretty much a couple in their 70s who had like over $1 million in equity in their property. And they were getting rich on paper with the values of the properties coming up, but they had no cash flow. So they were both still working in their 70s. Really unfortunate situation. So that's on the property side where they're not diversifying enough. On the share side, I've also had clients who have invested in 10 stock share portfolios where they had $400,000 and they've now got $40,000. So the implications there of just randomly picking some stuff because you've got a good gut feeling is a very silly decision. Other interesting thing about that person, I say client, but they were like, James, can you help me? And I'm like, absolutely, we can. And we can also do these other things. Here's the cost to do it. Never heard back.
Yeah. And look, the diversification piece is part of a sort of balanced financial plan. You should be having assets in different areas of the market that don't have a strong direct correlation or link between the two. So it means that yes, absolutely, when the market goes up, if one particular aspect shoots right up, you're not going to get all of the gains. However, you are protecting yourself from that downside risk when things fall apart.
Yep. Okay, common mistake number 5, becoming a partner of a law firm. Now, you might go, look, that's a slightly interesting one. We're going to talk about some of the things we commonly see from partners of law firms. Although I will point out, I would say quite a few of them are miserable, but there are definitely some exceptions to the rules. You know who you are. One of the big things is around lifestyle creep. So, you start with a normal income and then it slowly increases over time. And before you know it, you've got your kids at private school, you've got this big house, you've got the nice car, you want the batch, you've got all of this stuff coming in and out. But then you look around and you go, hold up, I got all this stuff, but I've been in this game for 30 years and I need all of my income just to maintain my current lifestyle. I can't even think about maybe reducing my hours or getting ahead in life.
Yeah, and the reason that James uses partners of the law firm as an example, because it happens over time. And when you hit the top, so when you partner with a law firm, you get large salary increases, you're starting to get dividends out of the business. And we see it a lot with people who are CEOs, directors, partners, you just spend it all. You might get in 600 grand per year, you spend 650.
Yeah.
And the moment you stop pedaling, the wheels come off.
Yeah. And for the youngins watching this who are going, well, that would be a great problem to have, listen closely to me. This is future you talking to you right now. If you can't manage $50,000 a year, there's no way you can manage $500,000 a year. So you need to understand budgeting, or you can make as much money as you want and you'll stay on the treadmill of life forever.
Cool.
Alrighty, we're going to wrap it up right there. That's our top 5 tips, top 5 scenarios where we've seen people get it wrong. Really keen in the comment section for you to let us know what you've seen as well. Let's learn from each other. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, give us a review. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.